Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to the podcast. This is Wiretap with me, Tyler. As you can see, it's a little bit different. Yeah, I'm holding a mic this time. And I've got my laptop right here. Trying to do things a little bit differently, trying to be a little more organized. The mic has nothing to do with being organized. I just have this audio interface. Wanted to test it out, maybe see if it's a little bit better. In terms of setting all of this up. The other mic is just so hard. It's just, there's so much to it. This is literally just plug it in and use it. So, just trying to make this whole thing a little bit easier. Also, I've been experimenting with, coming up with ideas. I have a Google Doc, throwing all of my ideas in there, trying to make this a little more structured, getting my thoughts onto the page and then coming back to them during this time. Hopefully it'll make it a better experience for you guys. But there's a little bit of confusion with, or not confusion, not really a problem either, but this episode was actually supposed to come out next week. All right. But I thought, I want to do a Halloween episode. I want to have a spooky episode, and I can't release that on November 6th after Halloween. So I'm recording 2 podcasts this week. I already have one. I recorded it like a week ago. That was supposed to come out on today, October 30th. But it's not actually today, October 30th. I was just saying that because that's when you guys will see it. It's the day before October 30th currently. But, here we are, recording a second episode, and I'll get into some more details as we go through what I have planned. But I'm gonna have to keep you guys updated. Let me just get into this. This is my first point on the doc anyway. I'm almost positive. I am almost certain that I'm cursed. Literally cursed from something. I don't know. Maybe it's like bad karma, or someone has literally put a spell on me of some sort. But dude, just this past week has been an awful week. I've had so much stuff to do for school. It feels like I have a midterm I'm taking this week. I've had like papers that are due this week, like big papers. I've had the teachers I'm TAing for go, yeah, I really need you to get this stuff graded. Students are asking. And I'm like, oh, you just told me about this a couple days ago. I'm trying to get to it. I have so much to do. Oh, and okay. On top of that, I mean, just having work like that isn't cursing. I have had several unfortunate events happen this week. First and foremost, I hit a deer with my car. Or I should rephrase that. A deer hit me. I was just driving. It was dusk. And a car is coming the other way. Oh, okay. That happens all the time. Fine. But as I'm approaching, this spider that's been living in my car for the past week, that's a whole other story. I saw it come into my car and I tried to kill it, but it was so fast it scurried away and then was hiding under the seats. And every day I would come to my car, it would web down from the ceiling. And while I'm driving, I would freak out trying to catch it. And when it would sit still, I would go to catch it and throw it out, but it would, and I would never touch it with my bare hand, but like touch it with paper or a seat or something, and it would evade me and like crawl under the seats or somewhere. And just knowing it was in there was terrifying enough. But that was happening for weeks. And maybe I could blame this whole situation on this spider, because this is when it started. I saw the spider crawling across my windshield right in front of me. And this isn't me being negligent or anything. It seems like I'm implying that. But I didn't fully see what happened because of the spider. I will say that. I was 100% in my lane, but all I remember seeing is your eyes are focused on the spider, and then I see it's just blurry behind it. I see a giant brown thing kick up from the front of the car passing me, and a giant thud, and oh, and then I keep driving, and it's something I hit something hard. Turns out, I mean, I thought it was a huge branch that I just like rammed over and rammed into, but no. The car in the other lane nailed a deer and flung it into my car, and then I nailed the deer and flung it back into the other lane. Um, Series of just unfortunate events, dude. It didn't mess up my car too bad, luckily, but it just there are some plastic things in the front that are smashed in and gone forever. Oh God. And by the way, this is the second time my front bumper has been hit in the past 6 months. In July, June or July, my car was in the driveway of my parents' house, and this kid, this like, he's not even okay. He is a kid. He's a kid, but he doesn't like newly have his license. I don't think he lives in the neighborhood. He's driving down the road. We have security camera footage of this, by the way. Driving down the road, and then just hits my car in the driveway. My car was parked. I was there, and I heard the crash outside. I ran out. I was like, how do you hit a parked car in someone's driveway? God. So anyway, that happened over the summer. Destroyed the whole front of my car and my bumper. Got it replaced. Not even half a year later, I hit a deer, and it destroys the same front left side of my car. Okay, that was stressful enough. That is what, but the surface of my curse. I go from that to Thursday night. I have a class, and this is like a 2-hour class. It's a pretty long class, 2 hour, 15-minute class, right? So there's this guy in the class. His name, should I say his name? His name's Fu. Not gonna find him just from a first name. First saying a first name isn't bad. Fu. Um, and he's a funny guy. I love him. And in the class, we need to break up into groups. So he comes and he's in my group just by chance. Sure. So me, one of my other friends in the class, and Fu are just sitting there. We're like, him and I are shoulder to shoulder talking the whole class. Class ends. I get home. Get an email from Fu. Says, hey guys, I just tested positive for COVID. Since I was in close proximity with you guys, just thought I'd let you know. And it's not like I'm mad at him or anything, but I'm just mad at the fact that my curse is continuing. Because, I mean, in this moment, I wasn't even thinking of a curse. I was just thinking, wow, okay. I was talking to him. I was sitting right beside him for all class. There's almost no chance I don't get COVID, right? So this was Thursday. Right now it's Saturday evening. So it's been 48 hours pretty much. Took a COVID test yesterday. Obviously nothing showed up. It was literally less than 24 hours since I had exposure, but just checking because maybe he got it from someone else in the school. But it was negative. We're gonna see how this next week goes because I mean I'm convinced there's no way I don't get COVID for a second time. By the way, I had COVID at the beginning of 2022 in like February, so I hated it so much. I mean, I'm sure everyone who's had it has hated it. I mean, a lot of people I guess had very mild cases, but I mean, it wasn't that bad for me. Like, it wasn't as bad as it is for a lot of people for me, but it definitely sucked, like bad, for an extended period of time. So I just am dreading getting it again. Which, I mean, I guess this is just the world we live in now. It's just gonna have to count on getting it at least once every year or two now for the rest of our lives. But anyway, yeah. Basically, definitely gonna get COVID. There's no way I don't get COVID. Um, but that's what I was talking about at the beginning. Let me harken back to that. I will keep you guys updated as we go on here. I'm probably going to do I might not upload this, but maybe like a vlog just to have the daily as this goes on, because I will get COVID and it will be kind of cool to document it as it goes. I think I talked about in another episode when I first got COVID, I had my journal. I started my journal literally like a week before I got COVID, and I was able to document every day from, feeling the first symptoms to the very end of it. So that would be cool to have in video form. So maybe I'll do that. But okay. But wait, there's more infomercial style. That happens. I hit the deer on Wednesday. I get COVID from Foo on Thursday. Or I get exposed to COVID. All right. I guess there's a small chance I won't get it. I'm still hoping that I don't get it, but Friday. Friday evening, and I'm just now realizing how each day at the end of last week there was another addition to the curse. And I think today actually something happened. I don't have it on my list, but I'll get into that. Anyway, Friday evening, I get a knock on the door. It's a little bit scary. I look out through the peephole and I just see a shadowy figure. And I tell Seth, we have to keep a bat in our apartment. So I pick up the bat and I toss it to Seth because he's coming out of his room in his underwear. We weren't prepared to get company this late. So I toss the bat to Seth and I go, "Stand right here." Behind cover. And he's like, "Okay." And I open the door and it's the guy below us, the guy that lives below us. And he's like, "Hey, do you guys have a leak or something? We have like water coming from our ceiling in our kitchen." And I was like, "Oh my God. No, I don't know of any leak. I'll look around and I'll come down and tell you if we do." So we look around. I'm like, "Okay, if it's dripping into his kitchen, it's got to be in our kitchen." It's like the same layout of all of the apartments here. So I go to the kitchen. I look around. We had a leak at one point under our sink, but it's dry in there. We look in the dishwasher. Oh God, the entire dishwasher, like the bottom pool of it, is filled with dirty, janky water. And somehow that is leaking down to him. And oh God, it's just such disgusting water in there. It's vile. So we just spend our time like trying to, there's like a screen in the bottom of the dishwasher, so we have to unscrew that, like reach down in this cruddy, vile, disgusting water. And I'm like trying to feel in there, like, is there a clock? What is in there? Maybe, I don't know what happened. Feel nothing. All of that was for nothing. So they called emergency maintenance. That guy showed up and he's like, "We'll take a look at it tomorrow." So he basically came out for nothing. But I guess an upside of that, um, yeah, actually that was Thursday, and he came out Friday. Gave us a new dishwasher. That's the upside. Um, and we definitely needed one. God, it was such an old dishwasher. I don't know how the appliances here are so old. It's crazy. Um, but yeah, now we have a pretty good new dishwasher. So I guess, upside of the curse. But still, it was so hectic just having to deal with all that water and everything. And then today, I'm supposed to be working on my midterm, but I'm like, I need a day to clear my mind, cleanse myself of this curse. I'm gonna drive to this place called Pretty Place. Okay, it's about an hour and a half away from me, deep in the mountains, and it's this. outdoor church chapel area right on the edge of this cliff, and there's an opening. You just see all of these rolling hills, and it's so beautiful. So beautiful. I've never been there before, but I've seen photos, and it is beautiful. And I thought, okay, I'll go up there today. I'll visit that today. And I even wanted to record. I brought all of my equipment, my recording equipment. I was gonna like set up my camera and everything, and record an episode of the podcast on this cliff with this beautiful background. It was gonna be so sick. Um, so I drive an hour and a half. There are the most skittish people, this most scared people driving up the mountain. Okay, granted, it is a pretty windy road, but they are going so slow. And when a car comes the other way, they come to a near halt. And it's just driving me crazy. And I get around that person and I get up to like less than a minute down the road, and there's another person doing that. That happened like 4 times. God. So it took over an hour and a half to get there. But I finally get there, and I get to the end of the street, point 0.2 miles from Pretty Place, and a huge sign says Pretty Place closed. There's a security car waiting in the middle. There you can tell there's tons of people who just didn't read online the hours of operation. They just thought it would be open. For good reason, by the way. This is like an overlook. When is an overlook closed? Usually it's like mostly open to the public, especially on a Saturday. I mean, I guess people are renting it out for events, but God. So it was closed. I got a little business card with their hours of operation to the public. And, you know, everybody in line got that as well. I guess they have a security guard out there because tons of people get turned away. But I had to do the drive of shame home, an hour and a half back. And that sucked bad. But, you know, I made a couple more stops in some parks on the way back and tried to make it a little bit worth it. But nowhere. I was looking for other places to film this podcast, but I did not find any, obviously, because I'm here. But yeah, I mean, it wasn't a total bust. Saw some other parks. But anyway, that was today. That was the addition to my curse. And I thought that would be a good way to open up this podcast. This is the spooky Halloween episode. I'm cursed. I actually believe I am cursed in some way. God. Okay. Moving on. I thought it would be fun to talk during this podcast about the most scared I've ever been. Okay. Add to this spookiness of this podcast episode. So there is a whole story that goes into this that I'll get into another time. Have it on the list here. But for the sake of this episode, I'll touch on it just a little bit. This was the most scared I have ever been in my entire life, okay? This happened last year. And without getting into it too much, I was experiencing what I didn't know at the time was like anxiety and panic. I didn't know what it was at the time, but every time I would drive, 30 minutes into the drive, I would feel like I was going to pass out. I would be on the brink of passing out. It would feel like I would not be able to keep my head up, right? So I came down here to see Seth, and this was before I even moved in here. And this place is like 3.5 hours away. So I was doing a lot of driving from home, and, man, I had a couple episodes on the way down here where I would have to pull over, like evasive maneuver, pull over, get off of the road onto the side of the highway, and just kind of sit there, get out of my car, walk around a little bit, and just be like, okay, I'm fine. But I was really scared there. All right. And so it was such an intense drive down here that 3.5 hours, that I said, okay, I need to go to the doctor. Like this, I need some sort of explanation or something to help with this because this is awful. It had only been going on for a couple weeks at this time, I think. So I go to the urgent care down here, which, by the way, was an AFC. I think that's what it's called, AFC urgent care. Never go to those. They are the worst. Okay, based on this experience, they run all these tests on me. They measure my heart because I feel like I'm going to pass out. They think it's something like blood related, something with my heart, and the doctor is just kind of a dick to me, and he's making all these weird jokes, and he comes back in after running the tests, and he's like, how long's this been happening? And I tell him, and then he leaves, and then he comes back, and he's like, so based on these results, you need to go to the ER right now. And I was just like, what? And he just said, like, we can call you an ambulance or you can drive yourself. It's right down the road, but you need to go right now. Like, not later today or anything. Right, like, leave here and go there right now. And I was like, okay. And in my head, I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with me? It was literally like I was keeping my composure in there. I was just like, okay, yeah. He gave me all the papers and everything. I walked out, walked to my car, and as soon as I shut my car door, I was just like bawling, crying. This is where I was the most scared I've ever been in my life. Just imagine, 2 weeks are going on. You're having this issue you've never had in your life where you're like passing out driving. You got to drive everywhere and you feel like you're passing out every time. You're going to crash and die. And then you go to the doctor about it and he says, yeah, he is like visually concerned along with all of the other nurses there. Visibly concerned, not visually concerned. And he says, you got to go to the ER now. And they're offering an ambulance to you. It's so perilous. Hope nobody ever has to go through that because I was just crying in my car. I called my mom or she called me after I told her I got out and texted her what the doctor told me. But I just I had to keep hanging up on her because I was like, I can't even talk right now. I'm crying so hard. I can't even get any words out. So I just had to text her and I was like, going to the ER right now, I guess. And she drove 3.5 hours down here to see me. And I appreciated that. But anyway, I guess without getting into the story too much, because it would literally take a whole episode to go through this entire thing, that is the most scared I've ever been. Leave me a comment down below letting me know the most scared you've ever been, right? Okay. Would love to hear it. Moving on, another time I was intensely afraid. This isn't necessarily the most scared I've ever been, but this is the most chicken I've been. Me, my childhood friends, Austin and Jack, we were going to spook trails. You guys do spook trails? You know about spook trails? They're, everybody knows it. It's like a haunted trail. People call it different names in different areas of the world. But you just walk down a trail. Takes like 45 minutes. People just jump out and scare you, right? So I did the most basic one in our area here. It's like the one everyone goes to. Everybody knows about it. Wasn't that bad. It was the first one I've ever done because I'm just chicken of everything. Always have been. And it was a huge accomplishment. I did it. Yes. Yes. I did the spook trail. And then my buddy's birthday comes up. Or his birthday party, I should say. His birthday had already passed, but we're going to do his birthday party, which, by the way, he loves spook trails. He says, we're going to go to the most, like, disturbing spook trail I know of. This made my stepbrother piss his pants. Me, you, and Jack, we're like a friend group back then. We're going to go do this, and it's just going to be us, no parents either. And I was just like, oh, okay. And so I was maybe hyped up on the fact that I had done the other spook trail. But the more he kept telling me about this other one we were going to, I was like, okay, I did the most basic one, but this kind of sounds intimidating. So I thought, okay, I can still do this on the drive there. But when we got there was nobody else there. This was in the middle of nowhere. We were in this huge parking lot, not a single other car. And we walk up to the where the trail starts, and it's just this small shack on the edge of these like farm fields and woods, and they're blasting that Avenged Sevenfold song. It's your fucking nightmare. And then I am just like, this feels wrong. There's nobody here. There's one guy sitting in this shack to take your money. I don't want to do this. And then they're trying to convince me. They're like, oh, come on. We all came out here. Come on, just go in. And I'm like, no, I'm not doing it. I was just straight up like, I'm not doing that, dude. This is fucked up. So I waited outside with Austin's mom while Jack and Austin went in. And yeah, I don't I don't regret it. I don't regret not going in. It was terrifying, dude. I guess there was maybe a sense of camaraderie, like if I would have gone in and, had some kind of. I feel like I would have had a panic attack if I went in. I was terrified. But I do remember a funny story from that. Uh, when Jack and Austin were in there, they were going through this corn maze portion of it, and Jack had to pee so bad, right? So you never know where people are hiding in these, by the way. Like you'll just walk through the maze and someone will jump out of the corn and scare you. So Jack just pulled his pants down and started peeing into the corn. And we were jokingly saying, what if someone was sitting in there waiting to jump out and scare them, and they just got pissed all over and they didn't jump out because of that. But yeah, anyway, he didn't actually pee on anybody, but just the thought of it was so funny to us at the time. um Moving on. So I wanted to prepare some topics to go off of here. Some topics I could maybe discuss my beliefs on, and maybe offer that to you guys in the comments, right? So let me pull it up here. These are, what is the title of this? I found this online the other day. Conversation questions, Halloween. That's not what I typed in, by the way. That's not what I Googled. Conversation questions, Halloween. I just stumbled upon this. I don't even know what I typed in to find it, but there's some fun questions here. I haven't even looked over this list. I figured I would go through this list and we would talk about it a little bit together. And it's just fun, Halloween related, and we could talk about maybe some spookiness, maybe some fun stories will come up. Okay. What day of the month is Halloween? Are you kidding me, bro? How is this a question on here? I swear, some of these other ones seemed fun. I didn't read that one at first. Okay, wait, what day of the month is Halloween? How is that a conversation question? Why is Halloween? Oh God, sorry. Why is Halloween celebrated? Don't know, and not really in the position to go into that more. There's a hyperlink here. Oh, maybe I could come back to this another time. Conversation questions for the ESL classroom. Accelerated student learning. Is that what that stands for? What does ESL stand for? Man, this is a long list. This would be cool to come back to at some point. Anyway, back to the Halloween questions. Can you explain the history of Halloween? No. How is Halloween celebrated in your country? Bruh. Trick or treating. Okay. Okay, here's the one I saw initially that I thought would make for a good conversation. Do you believe in ghosts? What is your answer in the comments? Let me know. Me personally, I'm literally getting shivers thinking about it because for all of my life I have, but I'm getting to the position now, like in the past year, maybe or so, where I'm telling myself, no, I don't believe in them. Part of that may be trying to cope with the fact that ghosts actually terrify me, the idea of ghosts. It might also be due to the fact that it's like I'm just kind of being a little more pragmatic about it. Like, okay, yeah, there is like no evidence of ghosts. Dumbass. um, I used to watch all these like ghost adventure. God, I can't talk. Ghost adventure shows, and they're so convincing with that stuff. If you watched those Bigfoot shows, I feel like you would be convinced that Bigfoot exists. There's like a whole, I think it was on the History Channel too, of all places. There's like a whole series on Bigfoot, and like people would go out and like look for Bigfoot. But yeah. So I guess to answer that, yes, or I mean no, but all of my life, yes. Maybe coming out of the yes and into the no. Moving on. What are some of the symbols of Halloween? I talked about this recently with someone, actually. Let's see. What do you think of Halloween? What do you think of? What do you, if you had to decorate an item for Halloween, what would you put onto it? What are your favorite things to put onto it? Me personally, skeletons, bats, gotta have bats, and candy corn. I feel like that's Halloween staples that you gotta have no matter what. You get like a tier down, and I feel like you get to spiders, spider webs, jack-o'-lanterns, kind of in between that top tier and second tier. Jack-o'-lanterns is, sometimes they're good, sometimes they're bad. But then you get to the bottom, just the shitty ones, the ones you don't. I don't. If I see this on Halloween stuff, I don't like it. Frankenstein, nah. Ghost or top tier? Throw Ghost in top tier. Bottom tier, Frankenstein, Mummy. What are some other just stupid, like fog? I feel like I've seen that somewhere. It's just miscellaneous fog. I'll try and put onto something. Cat eyes. You guys ever seen those? Or just eyes peering out of darkness, but it always looks like just cat eyes. Used to see people with there are those like light projections. They'll project it onto their garage or their house, and it's just eyes that open up. I used to think that was so stupid. How is that Halloween related? It's just eyes peering out. I mean, they're not even spooky looking. It's just like a cat. But yeah, you guys disagree? Let me know in the comments. The comments are gonna be filled on this one. Let's see. Next question. Moving on. It's gonna be the theme of this podcast. Spooky and moving on. What costume are you going to wear to the Halloween party? Okay, this is actually kind of depressing. This is why I'm here doing this. It's the Saturday before Halloween. Everybody that I know is out at a Halloween function tonight, dressed up and doing party things. Meanwhile, I'm home alone doing this. There's not a place I would rather be but with you guys, first of all. But God, it is so depressing seeing everyone out at parties having fun while I'm just here doing nothing. Basically, I was not even sure I was going to do this podcast, and I was like, you know what? I need to do something tonight, so I'm here doing it now. um, but yeah. So to answer that question, what kind of costume are you going to wear to the Halloween party? I'm not going to a Halloween party, I guess. And I'm not wearing anything. I wish I could celebrate Halloween, but I can't. I have school stuff to do, and I possibly have COVID. And I don't have friends down here. So it's just me, Seth, and some people I have just met and gotten to know kind of recently. So I'm just kind of briefly acquainted. Don't really fully have people I could party with, unfortunately. God, I'm on a college town. How could I not have a party to go to? Oh, God, it's so, man, it's depressing and frustrating at the same time. Wish I could just go out somewhere. I mean, maybe I could have gone out. Let me just say that. I guess I could have gone out. I could have gone to the town, and there's probably something going on, but yeah, I'd just be going there alone, and then, I don't know. Moving on from that, that's just. Do you believe in magic? Do you believe in. Wait, how does that song go? Do you believe in magic? In a Is that a real song? Am I singing that right? Um, to answer that, no. Or to an extent, okay, no, just straight up no. I think any and all magic is just simply science that we don't understand yet, you know? I think there's some famous quote about that where science seems like magic until we understand it. Some God, I probably butchered that, but something like that. I mean, if you went back in time and you showed somebody a cell phone, an iPhone, they would think it's magic creating that, right? And the same probably for 100 years in the future from now. Well, maybe. Okay, let's go. Okay, let's just say into the future from now. Like bring something back. Probably think it's magic or something, you know? Um, who knows what that is or will be, but um, if there is some kind of magic that exists today, I think it's just some kind of science, right? That we just don't understand yet. Moving on. Did you know there were real witch trials in the 17th century? No way. Of course I did. Okay. Yes, I did. Okay. I feel like these are questions for like a middle school or elementary school class. Probably middle school class. Um, yes, I did know there were real witch trials. I grew up in one of the 13 colonies, relatively close to where the witch trials happened. I mean, it's not like it was right down the street, but I mean, in the grand scheme of the world, I was relatively close. Um, why do you think they happened? I heard a theory once that something to do with their water. That their water had acid in it of some sort. This could be wrong, and this could just be speculation of some sort. I could have just been reading some Alex Jones type article. I don't know, but they thought that um, the people of Salem were being not drugged or poisoned, but like dosed accidentally by Mother Nature, you know, which is insane to think about. This is just a town of people just going crazy, mass hysteria happening there. Um, so I mean, why do I think that happened? Possibly that, possibly just greed, lies being told, mass hysteria happening. Yeah, you just back in those times you could do anything. Back in the 70s, you could do anything. You could get away with just straight up murder in the 70s. I hear people all the time talk about in other podcasts I listen to, like if you got caught doing crime in the 70s, you were just a dumbass. They didn't have cameras anywhere. How, I mean, you could get away with anything, which is horrifying to think about. But the people that got caught, they were just stupid. They just got too greedy with it, I guess. I don't know. Like, dude, who would catch you? You do something, who could catch you unless they could do a real good sketch of you? And as we've seen over the years, those sketches aren't too great. No DNA to go off of back then. I mean, dude, horrifying to think about. And even more so back during the Salem witch trials, like you spread a lie and you are the cause of death for so many people, you know? Um so yeah, why do I think that happened? God, multitude of reasons, and it was so easy to get away with stuff back then like that. So um what kind of costume are you going wait. Oh, I skipped a question. Skipped a lot of questions. Whoa. Is my pumpkin still out? Yes. Are you still eating Halloween candy? It's not even Halloween yet. I think these are for after Halloween. But yes, I've been eating too much Halloween candy recently. Um, it's actually been an issue. I've been having way too much sugar lately, and I feel bad about it. I've just been eating candy. Um, I got French toast sticks covered in sugar and cinnamon and bread from the store the other day, and I just had some this morning, and I was like, God, like drizzled sugary syrup all over it. I'm just like, God, what am I doing? What am I doing? I'm just not even caring about myself lately. It's not taking care of myself. Um, God, but yeah, too much Halloween candy. Um, why do you like to celebrate Halloween? Okay, so for the past few years, I feel like I've been into this style. I feel like I'm finding, we all go through different eras, different styles, and I am currently in the midst of, I don't even know how to describe it other than I want to be like, what do I want to look like? What do I want to look like? Like a tattoo artist, like a guy in an emo band, even though I'm not in an emo band. Like a guy in an alternative band, pop punk band, or not even that really. I mean, God, I don't know how to describe it. It's just like I've been wearing all black for the past few years, just because like simplicity, one, and two, I feel like it's the only thing I look good in. But the style too. Yeah, wearing all black. I'm trying to get like more tattoos. I've been really into like getting tattoos lately. Um, and this is going somewhere, trust me. um, but I feel like the essence of the style I've been trying to capture is related to Halloween in a way, like skulls and like just kind of spookiness, like darkness. I feel like it's just cool and badass, and I like that. And so I like that about Halloween. I like fall is my favorite season, and I just, I am afraid of a lot of things. So when this time of year comes around, it's easy for me to get a rush of excitement from getting easily scared by most of everything. Um, and to an extent that's enjoyable. Uh, but also, just any type of holiday I'm a fan of. I love giving any excuse, giving any reason to celebrate anything. Um, And Halloween's just kind of nostalgic for me. I feel like holidays are just so, like the big ones are just such a happy time of year. And I think that's I read something one time about that's why there's so many Halloweens during the colder months. What did I just say? So many Halloweens, so many holidays during the colder months. It's because like back in the day, people like get depression and like sad and struggle through the winter. They need something to pick them up. So like Halloween, Christmas, um, Easter, like these cold months, you need something to get you through it. So I agree with that. I just love celebrating stuff. And even though I'm not really even celebrating this year, I think just being around that energy is nice and enjoyable and fun. Excuse to go home, carve pumpkins with the family, and just doing stuff like that together. Bonding activities. I love that stuff. So that's why I like to celebrate Halloween. How did I skip over all of those, dude? Just now, okay, that was before Do You Believe in Magic? Um, let's see. Do you think there are really witches and monsters and creatures living amongst us in the world? Or are those things just from our imagination? No, I don't think there's witches, monsters, and creatures living amongst us in the supernatural aspect. There definitely are monsters in terms of people, right? There are like insane monsters of people, and there are creatures that we live amongst. Um, Nothing supernatural or anything, but I mean, dude, there's crazy stuff out there that we haven't discovered yet. Just look up any fish in the depths of the ocean, and it is an insane creature or monster, some would even say, that we live amongst, right? Witches, though, can't say. Don't think so. Um, that's probably just from our imagination, along with Bigfoot, werewolves, all that kind of Halloween stuff. Don't believe in it. Is there anybody that does? I know there's a lot of like, it's a lot of just super. What's the right word for this? Maybe I won't use a word. There's a lot of girls out there, and guys too, that are really into witch culture, which, more power to them. Um, but I often wonder, do they like actually believe they're a witch or practicing witchcraft? Like, has this actually worked? Is this like religion where people will convince themselves that something external is happening because of their religion or something like that? Like, are these people believing they're affecting the world with their witchcraft? I don't know. Or do they just like the aesthetic of it? I know with astrology, a lot of people don't fully believe it, but they still check it every day. And it's like, okay, do you not fully believe it? You know, maybe just like reading it. Who knows? So maybe witchcraft is like that with people. I don't know. There's got to be people out there that actually believe in that stuff. If you could choose to be any monster or creature, what would it be? Now, this is the greatest question that's been on this whole list. I feel like I could go on for an entire episode about this, dude. If you could be any monster or creature, what would it be? My mind is immediately going to superpower, so I'm going to stray away from that. Uh, because I don't think that's explicitly what it's asking. Think of a Halloween type monster or creature, and would I be that? Like, would I be a werewolf? Um, a werewolf or a mummy or a Frankenstein? I don't know who would want to be a mummy or a Frankenstein. Like, seem like tortured people, and you could probably turn yourself into one of those if you like pop something in your brain, um, and just yeah, if you just are like destroying yourself to the point of becoming a I don't know the word of it, like a monster. because you're basically half dead, maybe. Um, I mean, Frankenstein is just a hodgepodge of parts, right? And a mummy is a decay, basically a zombie, right? Um, an Egyptian zombie, I guess. Right? I don't know. I don't know the history of mummies. Well, I don't know the history of the elusive mummy creature, right? The mummy, the living. What am I trying to say here? The living dead mummy. Um, I guess werewolf is the only cool one I can think of. Vampire? Okay. Okay. Let's think of this. I was initially thinking werewolf in terms of Harry Potter werewolf, but maybe we could think of this in terms of Twilight. Okay. Are you team Edward or team Jacob? What am I, you ask? I go back and forth all the time. I watched Twilight not even a month ago, all of them, and I was just thinking of this question. What would I rather be, a vampire or a werewolf? Hmm. The werewolves, they live forever so long as they keep turning into a werewolf. But as they get older, they stop needing to turn into a werewolf and they have the privilege of death, right? I guess the vampires can die too, but it's a lot more gruesome. Um, so also the werewolves, they're a lot more friendly towards humans in terms of their existence. They don't need to drink blood. They run faster than the vampires. They're stronger than the vampires. They are warm. They have warmth. Um, and you have two forms. I guess that's cool, right? With a vampire, you're cold. You require blood. Um, and the animal blood is like subpar to human blood by a lot. So you're just constantly, unless you're drinking human blood, you're dissatisfied. Um, you do, I mean, you do have like, what am I trying to say? You have a cool type of skin texture, should I say? It's like, I think in the books or something, it's like you feel like rock or something. I don't know. Like, okay, this is what I pictured. I picture them feeling like hard, right? You know, with their strength, they're able to like crush things. I think the werewolves are only stronger when they're the wolves, right? I think if it was werewolf human versus vampire, the human werewolf human would lose. So having that strength just all the time on you, um, that's a benefit. Um, I guess something another downside is the Volturi. If we're talking about Twilight vampires here, you got to live by their rules. You know, if your rules in this vampire society, you can't be exposed to humans. It's just a lot of stress, but at the same time, you don't need to sleep. That would be a benefit, I would think. Um, I don't see. I don't know. I think when I first read all the books, I initially said werewolf. I wouldn't want to be a werewolf. You get that privilege of death, and you're much more, you know, positive towards humans, so you could like build relationships, right? Um, but now I think I want to say vampire because just it just seems cooler to be the vampire. Um, in what reasons? I don't. In what ways? I don't know. I think maybe the possibility of having a power, like in Twilight, you there's some of them that have a gift where they can do these crazy like things. So I think I gotta go with vampire. I think I would choose vampire. Go with vampire for that question. For if you could choose to be any monster or creature, what would it be? Vampire. It'd be cool. What is your favorite magical story? Character in a book, film, legend? I don't know. Magic? Harry Potter, I guess if we're talking about strictly magic. How could you cannot beat Harry Potter. Harry Potter is one of the greatest magic stories of all time, dude. I get obsessed with Harry Potter at least once a year. So good. If you could use a magical spell, like a love spell, on somebody, would you? Okay, let's think of this in Harry Potter terms. Would I? Of course I would. As long as it's not one of the three unforgivable curses. You can't use that on somebody. Um, but what kind of spell would I use? I mean, like a harmless spell. Like, I mean, they would always mess with each other with types of spells, right? I think there was one time they gave a boy a pigtail, right? I would just do stuff like that. I don't know. I don't think using a spell on somebody would be that bad in the Harry Potter terms, but I think like using a love spell on somebody, I see what they're getting at here. No, I don't think that's very ethical. I think using a love spell on somebody has some implications that are not good. Um, I think if you're gonna have someone fall in love with you, it needs to be natural. So no, I guess in terms of this question, no, I wouldn't use a spell like that on somebody. Um, what other countries celebrate Halloween? No clue, honestly. Um, can you describe the best costume you've seen? Nope. I don't know. Is your pumpkin still out? Dude, this is the second time this question's on here. Come on. Are you still eating Halloween candy? Dude, what? This is the second time. Okay, please tell me the rest of these aren't just repeats. How long does it take for a pumpkin to rot? Okay, that one's new. Takes about like a week or so, right? A week, 2 weeks for it to just be like, gotta throw this away. Um, something like that. Would you go out? Are you going to have a Halloween party? No. And wow, this is for an ESL class, and it says, "Would you have an Halloween party?" Okay, and there's all these multiple questions. Yikes. These ESL students are not getting the best education. Okay. um let's see, moving on. Dead air, dead air, dead air. Um would you go out and trick or treat? Who would you go with? I would do it. You get those people who are like, say trick or treat to kids, and they're like the Karens of the world. And they're also the ones who would say to like a middle schooler, "You're too old to trick or treat." Dude, just why do you got to say that? Why what was the point of you saying that? Right? So I feel like I would run into a lot of people like that. If I did go out, I'd maybe try and do something like have a fake kid and go like hold the basket and have like a fake kid on my shoulder and go, he conked out, but he still wanted to go around the neighborhood or something like that. Yeah. Um, but anyway, yeah, I guess I would go out, or maybe I'd go out with my little sister and we would go around the neighborhood, and I would also trick or treat with her. Um, I keep losing my place here. Do you know any Halloween legends? Okay, yeah, I was actually thinking about this just the other day. The Headless Horseman, that original story. I want to see. Let me look up when that came out because that story is such a good story. Um, the Headless Horseman. Okay, the Headless Horseman story. Let's go to Wikipedia here. 1922. Oh, wait, no. The Headless Horseman is a mythical figure who has appeared in folklore around the world since the Middle Ages. Whoo, man. The figure is traditionally depicted as a rider upon horseback who is missing his head. That is such classic, like, legend of the olden days. Because it just put yourself in the shoes of someone back in those times, right? What is just a creepy little, like, Bloody Mary esque story you can tell someone? Like, what is one of the scariest things you could probably see that no one would believe? Maybe you're out at night and you see somebody riding a horse that doesn't have a head. That would just, it gives me chills just thinking about it. What if you're out there and you see that? How scary would that be, right? Um, let's go to the description here. Depending on the legend, the horseman is either carrying his head or is missing his head altogether and is searching for it. Ooh, it gives me chills just thinking about it. Examples include the Dullahan from Ireland, who's a demonic French fairy, usually depicted riding a horse, carrying his head under his arm. Okay. The Legend of Sleepy Hollow. Okay, that's what I was thinking of, not the Headless Horseman story. The Legend of Sleepy Hollow, a short story written in 1820 by American Washington Irving, which has been adapted into several other works of literature and film, including the 1949 Disney animated film, The Adventures of Ichabod and Mr. Toad. Okay, I think I've seen that before, actually. But yeah, I was thinking of The Legend of Sleepy Hollow the other day, and I was just like, man, what a good story. What a good story. Just harkening back to what I was saying before about like that just being such a classic, like, it's just such a thing, just the mere mention of it. It's so perfect of something to spook somebody from back in the day. Like, what would spook them? Someone riding a horse without a head. Okay. Oh, man. I love like stories that are like that. Um, but do I know of any other Halloween legends? Man, so hard to think of, you know? Like, obviously, you have Dracula, vampires, and like werewolves. And man, I'm probably missing out on other major ones, but I just can't think of any off the top of my head, Halloween related. I mean, you have killers like Michael Myers. Uh, I remember. Okay, hesitant to even bring this up because I won't do the story justice, but there was this story I told in like fourth or fifth grade that I remember it riled up the class. I stole it from somebody. I had heard it somewhere else, and then I just told it in class and pretended it was my own. But I remember the class after I told it, there was a murmur across the class that none of the other stories evoked. Everyone was like, "Oh man," I don't even remember what the story was, but it was just one of those old little stories to creep you out, where it's like, and then you open the door and they weren't there, or something like that. Um, but I guess okay, maybe I could talk about that a little bit. Like, does that count as a legend? Spooky story like that? Um, I'm not gonna here in my apartment alone. I'm gonna freak myself out if I keep talking about this stuff. But I think okay, legend wise or just story wise, anything to do with ghosts or that old one where it's like it's like a very very short thing, like a paragraph long, and it's like you hear your mom call you from downstairs, but as you start walking out your door, you see your mom under your bed and say, don't go down there. She's not your real mom, or something like that. How does God? Okay, I'm gonna have to look this up too. I think it was like a creepy pasta. Which, by the way, creepy pasta is like a copy paste spooky story. Um, thing. I think it started on. I don't know. It's his own website. I'm typing in creepypasta mom downstairs. Mother's call. Creepypasta wiki. Oh, dude, I'm getting chills, dude. This is not good. Okay, it's very, very short. Here we go. Oh, God, I shouldn't be doing this. I'm gonna freak myself out so much being here. Mother's call. This could be based on an old story too. It says historical archive, but maybe that's just to scare people. A young girl is playing in her bedroom when she hears her mother's call to her from, or not mother's, she hears her mother call to her from the kitchen. So she runs downstairs to meet her mother. As she's running through the hallway, I'm legit gonna have to turn my light on. I'm getting too scared right now, dude. The door to the cupboard under the stairs opens and a hand reaches out and pulls her in. It's her mother. She whispers to her child, "Don't go into the kitchen." I heard it too. Chills, dude. Chills. I don't like this. I really don't like this. So I guess that's assuming, which one do you believe? It's that classic story of like there being like your friend or family and their clone, evil clone specifically, and which one do you shoot? How do you know? Right? Um Oh man, okay. Oh, I want to go into the rest of this. I want to go into the rest of creepypasta wiki, but oh, I'm so scared, dude. Oh, okay. We can do this. Okay. Back to, there's only 3 more things on this list. And then maybe I'll read a story or two off the creepypasta wiki to just finish off this episode on a scary note. Do you think Halloween is dangerous? Huh. Do I think Halloween is dangerous? Why would it be? I think a lot of religious people think that Halloween is dangerous. They think it's the devil's holiday, but no, I think it's just a fun excuse for everybody to be um, cosplayers for a night. I think it's fun. A fun excuse to party, kids to get free candy. I think it's great. No, I don't think it's dangerous at all. What do you know about the history of the holiday? Okay, another repeat question. Do you think it is appropriate to wait, can't talk. Do you think I'm scared? Do you think it is appropriate to celebrate it still today? Of course. Dude, what question is that? Of course it is. Shouldn't have gone back to those last 3 questions. That kind of let me down. So before I get into talking about these last stories, I want to touch on this last thing I have on my notes thing. Since those last 3 questions sucked, the scariest horror movies I've seen. Okay. This one's going to sound like kind of a wuss one, but hear me out. I have to have a type of germophobia, right? I obsessively clean my hands and I just try so hard not to get sick. Like it's not Howie Mandel level of germophobia, but I mean I don't touch doorknobs. Like I use my shirt to touch every doorknob. I'm trying to get out of doing stuff like that currently just cuz it's weird. I feel like, but it's like doorknobs, even yeah, doorknobs. I feel like I wash my hands way too often. which maybe in the COVID world today, maybe that's a good thing, right? But yeah, this leads me to saying Contagion, one of the scariest movies I've ever seen. It just illustrates, and it is so harrowing and eerily similar to the COVID world. They use so many words that we didn't even know about. Or, I mean, we as, people knew about them, I guess, but they use so many terms that we legitimately used for COVID, like social distancing. I heard that in Contagion, and I was like, whoa, we had no idea what that meant back then. And now we do. Now we know good and well what that means. But I remember this movie paralyzed me with fear when I first watched it. It just showed, oh God, this invisible illness that killed people so quickly. And you get the story of this guy and his family, and there's all these like people just dying everywhere, and it is so scary. It's like end of the world type movies are especially scary for me, along with ghost movies. Um, and I don't know why. Maybe it's like an existential dread type of thing, but with Contagion and it affecting the world and killing so many people, oh, so scary to me. Which brings me to the next one. I only have two on this list. These are like the top two scariest movies to me. World War Z. I have an irrational, intense fear of zombies, okay? Like, I think if someone tried to, I've had to tell people, don't prank me with zombies. I'm fine with anything else. Just please actually don't do zombies, because I think someone would actually die. Like, like I would fucking kill someone or myself. I would probably maybe actually have a heart attack, or murder somebody unknowingly if my brain switched into that zombies are real mindset and I just went off and murdered somebody. And that would destroy me, dude. So World War Z is the scariest zombie movie. Like, I've been obsessed with zombie movies and shows, and it's a part of my fear. And the type of zombies in World War Z, hands down, the scariest, dude. They they the speed with which they run, they don't feel pain, and the quickness with which you change into those zombies. Oh God, no, just the way they act too. That movie messed me up for months when I first watched it. Oh my God, I remember when I first watched it, it was like I could not sleep at night. I couldn't, like, throughout the day, I was constantly thinking about it, just wringing in my hands with anxious energy for months. Oh my God. Um, but yeah, do you guys like those movies? Let me know in the comments. Anyway, let's get to creepypasta here. As much as I don't want to do this, I feel like I have to. This is the spooky, scary episode. If you guys don't like spooky, scary stories like me, I don't like them, but I need to do this for you guys. Oh, God. Okay. That one's a little too long. I'm hitting, there's this option on the side that says random story. Um, maybe that's not a good one to do. Maybe I need to do, ooh, okay. There's a POTM, and I can only assume that means pasta of the month. So it's like popular ones from this month. Trending pages. Okay. Let's see. We have like 8 options here. Okay, I know which one. The title of this one is already scaring me enough. The girl in the picture. Honestly, I I don't think I can do that one. which is why I have to do it. Oh God, the rest of them don't. The rest of them seem scary, but this one. Okay, this is way too long. The girl in the picture. Ooh, who would? Okay, that is way too long. Okay, scary as that one probably is, can't do it. This one's called 9/17/2010. Okay, this one seems like it could be scary. I'm just now seeing there's a small picture at the bottom of this girl tied up. This is the caption of the picture is the still shot of the girl. Okay. God, this could be just a real story. That looked like a real photo. All right, well, let's do it. 9/17/10 is the title of this story. Since this one, it's shorter, but it's not that short. So this will be just the last one I do, unless I get through it pretty quick. Here we go. Buckle up, everybody. A couple of months ago, I began my classes at Chico State University. As I was preparing for my freshman year, I was able to find everything that I needed, except for a laptop. I'm not exactly very good at letting $1 go for something, especially when I could get that something for less. I scoured the internet for good deals on laptops, finding none that suited my frugal habits. Classes were only 2 weeks away, and I was becoming desperate for a computer. Several days later, I saw an ad in the newspaper for a laptop that was being sold for only $600, and not too far from where I live. It was a very nice Dell laptop, too, seemingly odd that it was being sold for almost $1,000 less than store price. I drove to the seller's address the following day. The house was farther out of the city, butting up to a dense forest. Outside of the house was an old Chevrolet and a mess of old signs and other various vintage-looking items. I rang the doorbell, and a thin man in a flannel jacket came to the door. When I asked about the laptop, he almost looked relieved. Oh, that's not good. And told me he was ready to sell it immediately. Luckily, I came with cash in hand, and after proof of good condition, I went home with the new computer. Excited to have my first self-bought laptop, I powered it up and began uploading my own programs and applications onto it. Upon searching the hard drive, I found a folder hidden away on it, which was odd because the man selling it told me the memory was wiped clean and ready for a fresh start. The folder was titled 9/17/10, the date and the title of this story. Presumably a date. I opened the folder, revealing 6 videos and 3 pictures. Curiosity got the best of me, and I decided to watch the videos. Dude, this has potential to get very scary. The first video was simply titled 001. The video was shot from a shaky camcorder inside of a vehicle, recording a woman walking out of a bar and getting into her car at night. After a couple of seconds, the woman drove off, and almost immediately, the person recording the video began to drive after her. The video ended after 24 seconds. It almost seemed like the cameraman had been waiting for the woman for a while. So a guy's filming a woman come out of a bar and drive away, and he follows after her. Come to think of it, I wasn't too alarmed by this at the time, just a little unsettled. I opened the next video file, titled 002. I assumed that this was the next part of the first video. My assumption was right, as it began with the camera on the top of the console, facing out of the windshield. It was raining now, leading me to believe that this was a short while after the first video ended. I could barely make out that the vehicle 2 cars ahead of this one was the same car that the woman at the bar left in. This went on for an unsettling 47 seconds before the camera cut out. I began to get a little nervous, fearing that this might take a turn for the worst. Yeah, I'm nervous, dude. Oh. But as if I was watching a television show, I wanted to see where this was headed. Yeah, that's where I'm at. Not totally concerned yet, I decided to press on. The third video was, of course, titled 003. This was the one that got me officially concerned. The clip began from the same shaky hands as the first clip. It was now pouring rain outside of the car, and I could barely make out a figure in a fur coat with an umbrella walking to the front door of a house. I could only assume who this person was and whose house this belonged to. The figure entered the house and closed the door. Okay, hold on, guys. Hold on. Okay, with this spotlight on me here. I can't see behind it in my room. I need to turn on this light because I'm actually scared. Oh, okay, okay. Oh, God, okay. I'm not going to turn on my main light. I have to keep the vibes kind of spooky for the podcast. But I have this light on beside me here. Oh, God, I have chills. Okay. The following stillness greatly unnerved me. Okay, so the girl got out and walked up to the front door. She was being filmed. The following stillness greatly unnerved me. The only thing that could be heard was the sound of rain dumping on top of the car. After roughly 2 minutes of this nerve-wracking nothingness, the lights inside of the house cut out. Another minute or so went by before the camera was placed onto the console again, and the sound of a person exiting the car broke the stillness. After the car door quietly closed, another figure, this time hooded, could be seen walking towards the house. So I guess he's filming somebody? I began to feel a knot tightening in the bottom of my stomach as the stranger walked around towards the back of the house. Okay. uh, oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I couldn't help it. I have to turn the light on. Okay. Spotlight's going off. This is how we're ending this podcast because I can't help it, dude. This is what it would look like all the time if I just had the spotlight off. The sunset lamp, I mean. It looks so bad. Anyway, back to the story. Okay, another minute or so went by, blah, blah, blah. I began to feel a knot tightening in the bottom of my stomach as the stranger walked around to the back of the house. Whoever this person was, they definitely weren't supposed to be there. After another couple of seconds, the light to the outside of the house cut out. It was pitch black, and only the rain alerted me that the camera was still rolling. The video ended after about 9 minutes of rain and darkness. I was now pretty sure that this was not an innocent little project or anything of that nature, and I began to feel stupid for not checking this laptop seller's credibility. Was this person stalking the woman, the same person that I met with earlier? Throughout the whole experience, I had a dormant thought in the back of my head to call the police, but I wasn't ready just yet. Reluctantly now, I began the fourth video, 004. It was dark again, but the rain had stopped, and I was left with only silence. Not after the clip began, I could make out the sound of footsteps on gravel, getting louder as someone was approaching the vehicle. The car door opened, and the dome light was turned on. And I could tell the camera was now on the floor of the car, pointing up towards the roof. I heard some fumbling in the background, and suddenly a thump sounded from the back of the truck. An arm abruptly obstructed the camera's view, and a large tarp could be seen being pulled out from the car. I had only one scenario running through my head, and I hoped that it wasn't true. Me too. The person picked up the camera, put it on the console, and began to back up. They drove for a good 3 minutes. Okay, I'm getting kind of tired of the story, honestly. It's going to branch off the road and exiting the car. Gotta go through it. Exiting the car to work on the load they were carrying. 6 minutes later, the car was moving again towards a different location. The camera was being picked up and carried upper-handed away from the car. I could see now that it was the same shit bucket truck that was in front of the seller's house that they saw earlier. I was ready to call the cops on this creep when the camera turned towards the house. It was a completely different house than the one I visited. I was a little relieved by this, though it didn't prove anything. Ooh. As the fourth video came to an end, I was wondering whether or not I was prepared to see what came next. I can only hope that this was a prank, or at least had a happy ending. 005 began inside the house. It was extremely dark, and the only thing I could make out was a figure that would occasionally walk in front of the camera. It was also quiet for the first few minutes, minus the occasional barking of a dog outside. Eventually, a small sound started to appear. The small sound soon escalated to a loud, muffled scream. Shaking and struggling sounds became more apparent as time went on, as well as crying. A light abruptly came on, and the camera was lifted and panned to the center of the room, revealing a beaten and bloodied woman tied to a chair. From what I could make out, this was, in fact, the woman from the bar. The camera zoomed in on her face for what seemed like an eternity before stopping. I couldn't believe that this was happening. The original hope was that this was a movie or something that had long since diminished. Uh, with only one video remaining, I was beginning into fear for my own safety. I locked my door, closed my blinds, and pushed onward. I began 006 with a small hope that this woman was still alive and that I could have her saved. God, I can't read. That I could have her saved. The final installment of this horror show began in a bathroom setting. The camera was placed on the counter facing a mirror in which I could see a door. The only sound I could make, was a familiar sound that destroyed my hopes. Power tools. Oh, God. I sat in front of the screen for what felt like hours, and the sound stopped. More silence, then heavy footsteps, accompanied by what sounded like something being dragged. The doorknob turned, and the door was pushed open. Out of the darkness, the rest of the house appeared a middle-aged woman dressed in what I can only describe as lab attire, sporting a respirator and a pair of long rubber gloves. This, for some strange reason, gave me a small amount of relief. In the reflection, the woman struggling to drag something to the bathtub. As she hoisted it into the tub, I could see it was a large, black garbage bag. I felt like I was dreaming. It felt like I was watching a horror movie unfolding on the screen. She lifted the bag up from the tub, now empty, except for whatever entrails that still dropped out. God. She picked up the camera and placed it on the ground facing the tub. On the floor in front of the bathtub was an assortment of corrosive substances and several other empty containers. The woman began to dump the liquids into the tub, which was followed by an awful, awful noise that I can only describe as pop rocks mixing with coke. The video ended, and I was left bewildered and panicked. I finally opened the pictures. The first was a picture of the truck. The second was a picture of the girl tied up before she was beaten. The third picture brought up a corrupted file notice, but maybe that's a good thing. God, okay. I feel like this is going to go somewhere with that corrupted file part. I managed to keep this is the last paragraph, by the way, if anybody's still stuck around this long. I managed to keep the two pictures before I handed the laptop over to the police. I was reimbursed my $600 along with a bonus. Okay, that weird to note. Okay. Apparently the victim was a young girlfriend of the older woman's ex-husband. The older woman was arrested almost a year before, but was freed of all charges due to lack of evidence, and the ex-husband was incarcerated instead. I guess this was the missing link. I hope this has solved any unanswered questions. Although, I'm not sure who the man in the flannel jacket was or how he got a hold of the laptop, or how he owns the same truck as the murderer. I guess I'll just leave that to the police. Okay. That had a lot of potential and very little payoff, honestly. Yeah, there's a lot of comments saying the same thing. People saying like, meh. So, okay, yeah. A lot of people are like linking the pictures that people included in this story to just like normal Reddit posts. Most people are giving this like 5 out of 10. Someone said maybe the ending issue, the man in the flannel jacket is the real murderer, but I think it's better if you could tell it clearer. Okay. I don't know how it would be alluded to that the man was the actual murderer, but okay. All right, anyway, yeah, that was spooky lead up, and then I mean they could have made that so much scarier. I feel like that corrupted file, you could have tied in the readers with that, right? Like I was horrified at the thought of it saying like, and that corrupted file is embedded in this story or something like that. Oh, or there's like a link that's corrupted and it like maybe the person intentionally corrupts it so that when you click it, it just is a corrupted file. So it says like Still am unable to decipher it, but I've copied the corrupted file into here. If anyone can crack the code or something like that, I don't know. That would have been kind of scary to me. Or if I was thinking also the person writing the story, they were going to end up, like the videos were going to somehow be of them, right? Or it was going to show like their house next on the videos. And then it ends with someone knocking at the door, or like they hear a window break, something like that. But no, none of that. All right, lackluster story, but we got to move on. Got to end the podcast. We've been going on for a while now. This might be the longest episode so far. Thank you guys for watching. If you've made it this far, like I said, I'll keep you guys updated. God, I can't talk. Been talking for so long, I can't talk anymore. I'll keep you guys updated on my COVID situation. I'm not ready to have it, but I'm going to have it. To reiterate, next week will be an episode that I recorded earlier this week. So it'll be flip-flopped. This episode that you're watching right now was supposed to come out November 6th. So November 6th is what was supposed to be coming out this episode, October 30th. So anyway, just giving you guys a heads up on that. I'll see you guys in the next one. This has been Wiretap. I can't do my normal thing with my hands. I'll just try it. Wiretap? Scary story? Or no. What do I do? Scary stories? Forever? Halloween? Forever? Wiretap? Forever? Bye, guys.